Mike.
And I'm Josh.
And this is NFGeeks. All right. So, Josh, this is going to be the your version of the ENFJ love episode. So, one thing I'm introducing into NFGeeks is to every NF that comes on, I want to spend an entire episode talking about love because it's so important to the NF consciousness and the NF being in all sorts of ways, not just romantic love, but just in the world and acting in the world and our goals and our being. So, so I want to talk about that. So any first opening thoughts before we get into the questions?
I agree. Love is very important. It's very high on the priority list.
Mm-hmm. All right. So the first thing then is something I talked about with Britt, and that is the concept of soulmates. So one thing NFs are known for is wanting to have a soulmate in their life. Somebody who they have this deep sort of spiritual consciousness connection where they understand you on this deep level and you understand them on their deep level. And how does that relate to you? What do you think about that?
It definitely resonates because I always want to, whenever I look to date someone, I always find like, can I have like these deep discussions with them? Like I always want to discuss like very like intense things. Like I want to talk about like philosophy and like I want them to understand those things and like share them with me. And like I always picture like when I date someone, if I could date them for a long time. Like it's always for a long time, like marriage, things like that. That's always what I picture with that person.
Right.
It's never, because like I had a period where like I had like a carousel, like a hookup thing going, and it was very like unfulfilling.
Yes.
Like it was very like, I don't like this. So like I always need to date someone. Like I always want to be in a relationship.
Yes, I agree with that. Actually, I've had similar experiences. ENFPs too would rather be in a relationship, and that's. You know, that might seem contrary because the ENFPs are kind of notorious for being kind of slutty in the NF world, and I don't deny that. But honestly, every slutty experience I ever had, like right after, I wanted to die. You know what I mean? I couldn't even handle it anymore. I was like, no, this is the most worst thing ever.
You feel like trashy.
Oh, trashy.
You're like, oh,
horrible. You know, you feel empathy for the other person. Oh, why did I do that? Now they're gonna be upset. And I'm upset, and you know, it's a misery. So that really resonated with me because I've been on that carousel. All the ENFPs have been on that, and some of you still are spinning. So, all right. So how does that compare then? All right, if that experience is a carousel, and that's a great metaphor because NFs make great metaphors. What would the soulmate be? What kind of metaphors would you make for the soulmate?
I think like a comfy like lounge chair maybe. Like a place where you can go that you feel secure, comfortable.
Yes.
Very welcomed.
This is great.
Very like embraced.
Yes.
Comfy like lazy boy
right.
chair.
Like it's already in the shape of your ass.
Yeah, it's made for you.
Right.
Like,
you know, you just sink into it. If someone else sits in it, they're not going to be as comfortable.
No, it's your chair.
It's your chair, specific to your needs.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great, and hopefully the chair feels the same way.
Yeah, you want the chair to love you back.
Right, it feels the same way. Like they don't want anyone else sitting on them. You know, it's mutual. It's not as selfish. Okay, so then. So then, what have your experiences been around love, the feelings of love, expressing them, sensing them? What would you like to say on that?
I think, like personally, I think I always want to like feel it right away. I always want to like give all right away and receive all right away. You always want that exchange of like, here, have everything. Here's my heart. Give me yours.
Yes.
Like you always want it right away, all of it. But like you always figure out really quick, like it's gonna work out or it's not.
Right.
And like when you realize like, okay, this is not the one. Like that doesn't fit into. This is the square peg going in the circle peg. You're like
yeah.
Really quick, like it happens. You'll know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very NF interpretation. All the NFs get that, and I think there's something extroverted NF about that too, in terms of wanting to make it happen sooner than later. Because ENFPs are notorious for falling in love like after the first date. You know what I mean? We have a notorious reputation for that. I think, and this I'm going to hypothesize for a minute about ENFJs. I actually think you're better at controlling that in you than the ENFP, because you have that judging part and you can no, even though I want to like jump into this, I know I need to play it cool and go for it. You know, you have sort of a barrier that's keeping you in place.
Yeah, like I'm good at sensing like knowing whether or not it's like safe,
Ah.
whether or not the water's too cold to jump into.
Yeah.
Like I think
That's
we're good at that.
Okay, that's a great analogy because the ENFP only knows that after the cannonball. Like we've cannonballed. We're like, oh, geez, this was ice. Boy, this was a bad idea. Like, we never know. We can't tell by looking into the water.
Yeah, we always like dip the toe first.
Yeah, no, I don't know a single ENFP that ever dipped a toe. Yeah, we're terrible at that. But I would say that you're judging. You're making a good judgment, whereas we are not. We're not making a good judgment, at all. That's okay. I accept my foibles and limitations on that. Okay. Now, what do you now? Putting it all together, a lot of NFs have this idealized view of either their lovers or love into the future. So how does your idealism connect with your ideas or feelings about love?
I think it's you always want to connect them. You always want to be like, okay, I want to find the partner that like is this way and she does these things, and you always want them to be a certain way, and they don't have to fit that criteria exactly, but you want them to have like a lot of the qualities of that like ideal person. I think that's something we do a lot.
Absolutely. Do you find that you've ever over-idealized anyone?
Yeah,
Or
I think
a
you do.
relationship?
I think because a lot of people want to find that person, so they want to almost project it on people. So I think you do a lot. I think you see someone and you think other things about them that necessarily aren't true, and that happens.
How do you feel about your idealism about your own life and love into the future? Do you feel idealistic about it? Do you feel good about it? Do you project any idealism about it?
I try not to, because I feel like
See, that's judgment coming in. That's good.
I feel like when you do that, you're setting yourself up for it to automatically fail. Because it's not, I mean, it's kind of like the Camus theory about life. You're going to have your wants, but they're going to be like this, and it's not going to fit. You kind of just, I don't think it's good to have that personally, because it's not going to work out. You're just going to disappoint yourself instead of loving the person for who they are.
That's a very strategic and pragmatic view towards love. How does that connect? How do you feel about that statement as an ENFJ?
I mean,
for an NF, it's pragmatic and and strategic for an NF. It's not like the way it is for the other types.
I mean, I think it's true. But I think that personally, I think that's just what works best. I think trying from dating other people and it not being successful. Like, you just find that it's just better off to just not have any preconceived wants from someone.
That's a very healthy, for any relationship, any of the types, that's a very healthy point of view to have. Okay. When do you think, has this judgment ever interfered with love, kept love from happening, or have you had any negative experience because of this judgment? Like, we're talking about the ideal, when this is a strength and it's helping you. Or if you could speculate, when could this thwart love?
I think
your judgment.
You could think of someone as being a certain way, and then you avoid them because of that, and it's not true. You misread. I think that would be a very big problem, and so it would keep you from having that idealistic romance, so to speak.
Has that ever happened? Do you have any experiences of that?
Personally, no, not really.
Oh, that's good.
But thankfully.
Not yet.
But hopefully never. But yeah.
Sure.
No, not personally. I haven't had that because, like I said, I try not to do it in the first place. I think we all do it because of the judging function. We always want, we were like, oh, I hope they're like this, this, and this, And I don't think I take it out of the equation completely, because I think in order to be happy, you do need to have certain things from that person that fit your needs, But I tried to keep it out as much as possible.
Now, if I could take it to another level and talk about it a little personally, you've mentioned that you've been involved with an INFP before.
I think she's an INFP.
Yes, and that relationship is actually with an ENFJ is actually a very good balance in the NF world. My version would be INFJ. Um, so I want to know, how do you feel? Do you sense a balance? Have you experienced balance? Where has there been balance? Can you comment on that?
I think so. I think just being an E and an I in general
Mm-hmm.
always works out, whether it's platonic or romantic, because as an E, you want to have people around you that want to, feed off of your ability to be charismatic and things like that. So you want I's around you in general. So to date an I, because they're gonna need an E, and an E wants an I, so it makes sense. And I find that it's true.
Oh, that's great, because a lot of introverts, even on NFGeeks, commenting or emailing, or maybe even some that have been on, kind of have a fear of the extrovert. They say, "Oh, I don't know if I could be with an extrovert. Oh, I don't know if I could take it. I don't know if I can handle it." And that's good for you to say that. That actually, no, it's actually good for you. And what other ways does it seem balanced? Do you feel the balance or the harmony? Harmony is actually a better word than balance.
Yeah. I think it's hard to describe, but I think we do a good job of always knowing, we always say we're very good at compromising about things, and our relationship flows really well. There's never a lot of constant disconnect about things. It's funny because I don't know if it relates to the Myers-Briggs, but we're also both Leos. So
all the NFs love that. A lot of NFs.
We love zodiacs.
Yeah, they love the zodiac thing. They love the astrology thing. So they're all.
We're both Leos, so we tend to agree on a lot of things anyway. So.
Oh, great. So you have the harmony, and you have that other level of agreement that you're both. Would she say the same thing?
Yeah.
Even about the Leo stuff, would she agree?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. The last thing I want to talk about is something I talked about with Brittany, and that is this new concept that's been introduced to me by front row seat INFJ. Keep shouting out to her about the twin flame idea, and this idea that there's sort of this we won't say Uber, this ultimate soulmate that you sort of connect with because you've had there's sort of the way she described it too. It's sort of like the other half of you that makes a whole. So together you make a whole. Like you're once a whole, maybe split up, and now you're coming back together to form a whole, as opposed to a dance between two entities. Even though you don't necessarily lose yourself, you don't lose your identity in this whole, but it's the coming together of a whole. So how does that connect with you in any way? Do you agree with that? Not agree with it? What were your thoughts or feelings?
I'm not sure if I completely like the idea because
that's interesting.
It's almost as if you need someone to fill something inside of you.
I think if you're dysfunctional and you approach it that way,
right,
then you're thinking that's what it is.
Right.
I don't get the impression that's what it is.
So,
it's more idealistic.
Yeah, I think it sounds good in theory. I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible, but I mean, sure. If there's someone that fits you exactly perfect and you fit them exactly perfect and everything's all wonderful and fantastic, then yeah. Well, I mean, I think it's possible to have someone who is your true love, your opposite in general. I think it's possible. So I think it makes sense.
That's good. I want to clarify, just because you found your twin flame doesn't mean it's all roses and cupcakes and rainbows. There could be disharmony, there could be disconnect, there could be separation to come back at a future time. Still your twin flame isn't all happiness. It's all growth and expansion of consciousness, but it's not all, chocolate syrup.
Is it possible that it could be a platonic relationship then?
That's what I was talking about with Brittany. Her interpretation was great, is that if it's truly your twin flame, that the attraction will be so great that friendship will break and you'll go into the true intimacy of it. I kind of lean towards that way too. I don't think you can have a twin flame, garbage man that comes to your house,
Because I was thinking that maybe there could be other circumstances that keep that from happening.
Ah, all right.
Maybe it's not the right time. You could be with someone else.
Yes.
Things like that.
That's right. It could be that actually. That
Or
is
they're
part of
with
it.
someone else. Something I don't know.
Yep, that's it.
But I mean, I suppose
I've heard that before.
I suppose if it is that true, like galvanizing love, then I suppose it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, I suppose. All right, that's all the time we have, Josh.
Okay.
So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good job.